hello! I don't know why I'm so surprised that worked. And the subtitles are working. That's very good. By the way, folks, do let me know if there's what subtitle captioning services you use for live streams. Whilst this one's okay, not perfect, and I'm interested in knowing other people's thoughts and feelings. But hello, my name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. Pronouns even. Oh, sorry. And I am the host of What Am I Rolling, a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. And sorry, my phone is going off. Let me just double check. Apparently I'm live now. That's wonderful. Well done, phone. So I run What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. Hello, Hamilton. We just spoke. Hope you're doing well, friend, and I hope work's not too hard, and I look forward to hearing your purchases from Warhammer World afterwards. Hello, Kieran. Nice to see you here. So this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPG Streams, in which we go through an RPG that's caught my eye or has been on the shelf in my Google Drive for a little while. And we're just going to go through them, spend an hour or two. Disclaimers as always at the top. Not sponsored by any of these things. These RPGs don't necessarily endorse some of the stories, which I'll get onto in a second. And of course, we might not read through all of it, but it's always a good thing to start reading them, and if it piques that interest or not. I know some people are like, I must finish this book and read it to completion, and sometimes we don't have time for those sort of things. But it's always good, I think, to read different RPGs, which is kind of what the point of this stream is. It is an accountability stream to actually make an effort to read some of my RPGs out there. I hope you're doing well, friends. It is a gorgeous, very sunny day here where I am in the middle of nowhere. The internet is working, which is always good. I was just trying to see how hot it was outside. It's 24 degrees outside, a nice balmy, and that's 24 degrees Celsius. I deliberately made it so that all my readings are in normal, my translatable things rather than Fahrenheit. But yes, I hope you're all doing well. I went for a lovely walk this morning. I've done all the household chores. I got feedback on this voiceover course that I've been doing, which, bless them. So one of the reasons I'm doing these streams is to get used to reading things aloud and basically sight reading, because it's one of the very difficult things to do. I don't know if anyone did this as a kid. When we used to do reading in reading groups, I always used to read aloud, reading stuff. And then when we did public reading, in reading groups, I got told off for reading aloud when we were all quietly reading together. But then we were put into groups, and then she would point to a kid to read, but also we'd be reading at different parts. Anyway, as a result, I've not been able to read out loud for many years. And obviously when you're doing voiceover stuff, it's always quite good to be able to learn how to read and maybe do some directions and all that sort of thing. This is what I kind of try to do, and trying to do it about something that I really enjoy as well, like games. One thing, the point of the story. Oh, hello, Hogan. Nice to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. The point of this story is that I get feedback on my coursework that I submit, and it's all vocal sort of stuff. And we get very difficult copy, challenging copy, about stuff that we don't necessarily enjoy. So, for example, one of the assignments I had to submit yesterday was an voiceover ad for Busch Gardens, which is basically like a theme park. So those people in the UK, I assume the closest equivalent would be something like Thorpe Park or maybe Alton Towers. Basically, from what I understand, Busch Gardens has got different attractions and all that sort of thing. However, this copy was advertising a revolutionary fun vacation, all about the Revolutionary War at Busch Gardens. Now, I have no idea if this was a thing, if it did happen, or if it's a made-up thing, but it was very hard, as you can imagine, to be excited about it. I'm a British person. But one of the tips that they always say is, imagine you're speaking to someone you like. And I was like, okay, but I wouldn't want to wish this on anyone I liked to go to this particular place. But then, as we sort of analyse the copy and stuff, it's sort of about, this copy is actually sort of appealing to children through their parents. And then the teacher said to me, do you know anyone that has young kids who'd be excited to go to a place like this? And in my head, I was like, no, absolutely not. Obviously, I know folks who do have children, but either I am the weird aunt that never turns up, or I don't know them well enough. So I was like, I actually don't think I have a basis to do this. So that was quite fun yesterday, just trying to talk to imaginary children and be excited about it. Also did Vason yesterday, did our part 2, which I think, Kieran, I saw you in the chat. Thank you so much for supporting that. It's fun, Vason, isn't it? I think it was interesting considering we had a Quinn's Quest review came out, which was negative in the sense of quotation marks. And I say it's negative because it wasn't as positive as his previous 2 reviews on Lancer and what was the other? Wild Sea. Oh, hello there, Never Squid. Hello, Nev. Nice to see you here, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I found the that particular review, the Quinn's review, I thought it was very interesting, and I think it was very true of Mason, as I discovered towards the end of this session, and I was like, I don't remember how combat works. And there's no direction necessarily, but that's it. Kind of looking, but I saw Cthulhu and came running. Oh, that's very kind of you there, thank you. So yes, let's get straight onto it. I've been whittling along enough, and some people are slowly dripping and dropping coming in. So, today, friends, we are going to be looking at Call of Cthulhu, the Quickstart Guide. Now, massive sort of disclaimer content warnings at the top, which I know the books, the Call of Cthulhu books do go into quite a bit as well. So obviously, Call of Cthulhu, the original sort of Lovecraftian stuff, these sort of RPGs are based on the works of an author called H.P. Lovecraft, who was, let's face it, not a nice person, quite a miserable guy, had certain opinions and views on several things. He died penniless. This is not necessarily an endorsement of that particular person and their views, but it's interesting how someone's legacy and work can inspire incredible stories. No, he wasn't. No, I've heard other things, but I'm just going to say it from what it said in the book that I read. Oh, wait, no, he wasn't a good guy. Sorry, I realize now what you were saying. So, yes, it is one of those things where we have to acknowledge that this person is a controversial figure. And what we're doing with these books, certainly in RPGs and certainly in the RPG space, there's been lots of controversy recently about stuff in this. There's that we can look and be critical of stuff without necessarily endorsing it. So I know it's a bit like, would I want to play this game? And there's some things I'd say about this game. I have played Call of Cthulhu a little while before, and there are some bits of it I don't agree with at all, and I don't necessarily think it should be used as a role-playing thing. But I think it's always good to analyze these things and see what we think about it, because this game is also 40 years old as well. So what we're going to look at today is the quick start guide that you can get, which is the 40th edition, 40th anniversary, which you can get for free on the Chaosium website, which is where they are all published as well. So I thought I'd just do that disclaimer at the top. The other disclaimer is that there may be content in this particular RPG which doesn't suit everyone. And that is okay as well. Please do not feel that you have to struggle along and hear me pronounce things incorrectly, and also have to be impacted by what is said. You know, if you want to take a break, that's absolutely fine. I appreciate Call of Cthulhu, Eldritch Horror, and a lot worse isn't for everyone. Nev says the thing about this, the death of the author. Death of the author applies because neither him nor his estate make any money off this anymore. Correct. So personally, I make a ton of changes to the rules, particularly when it comes to mental health and the conditions and sentences and such. Yes, absolutely. I think this is what the great thing is about RPGs, and I think about discourse in general, is that I think RPGs are such a good way to get into a story. But if a rule does not suit you or your table, you can easily change it or not play with it at all. I do it several times. I've done it with lots of Year Zero engine games as well. There's some rules you're like, nah, not for me. That's okay. And I think some people get very worried about forgetting a rule or breaking rules, because if it's a board game, if you break a rule or two, then that unbalances the game for everyone. Whereas I feel like role-playing games, we can all together work on it. It's not like, well, the rules say this, I think there's different ways of doing it, and also improving things. So absolutely, really good about that. All right. As always with these streams, we're going to go over and look at the sort of product page and where you can get the stuff. Because there's lots of places where you can get Call of Cthulhu stuff, but I'll show you what I've discovered in my 30 minutes of Googling before this stream. As a way of like, here's some things that you want to do if you're interested in this sort of game. So I'm going to move over, get rid of the big Fiona screen, into this screen. But first of all, let me tell you, Chaosium's website is dreadful. Chaosium.com. It is not optimized for mobile or devices at all. If I show you, go onto the screen, and this is me. I've actually increased the screen so you can see the stuff. But if I try and increase it even more, you see that the images are all over the place. So it is not optimized, and it's not been updated in quite a while. So apologies. I will try my best on it. Oh, Nev says, fully agree. You can't win tabletop RPGs, or at least I feel personally you shouldn't try to. So breaking the rules to facilitate a story, I'm a big fan of. Yes, 100% there. So yes, the website is not optimized, which is very frustrating. But I do want to show you what you can get. If you're looking for book, if you go to chaosium.com, they have a whole section here, and they do have a lot. Actually, I think I wish, this is the thing, if they thought about accessibility or just making it prettier, which I know is such a silly thing to say, I think more people would get it, because not only does it show you the main things, like you've got Call of Cthulhu starter set, you've got the Keeper's Rulebook and the Investigator's Handbook, and a scenario as well, what it is, it breaks down what you can have, etc. Let me move it over so you can see it a little bit better. There you go. We've got a little bit of text about stuff about what to do. You even have, which I'll go and show you in a second, the Dollhouse, which is basically an online tool that you can use to create and save your investigator sheets, create stuff through that. An actual digital is brilliant. Again, not necessarily updated, and I'll show you that in a second. Again, some images and stuff like game mechanics. It does a good lot of stuff and includes stuff. There's an actual player as well you can look at. So it's all on here as well. I'd also say something I've not seen in other places, which I don't know. I will again move this over so you can see a little bit. Is that you got getting all these things like, oh, if you want to start a set, the quick start is where I've got this from. I'll show you in a second. Core rules, a wiki as well, because Call of Cthulhu is quite big, and also to getting started on with online play. Here it is, like a list of resources, which says moving it back over, and gaming recommendations from one of the writers as well. About, oh, well, if you want to start, here's some recommendations. Love that. I think that's great. Here's some character sheets you can go and download straight away. Do you want some backdrops? Get some backdrops. I love a good backdrop. You know, I'm always saying I want this as a postcard. Of course I want a digital thing like that. Try it for free. Here's the Quickstart. It's a different Quickstart now, but just so you know, you can get it here as well. Some general advice, go here as well. So it has all the stuff there. I just wish it was optimized. And it's good. I appreciate it's not been updated for a little while, so there you go. Kieran says, something I come back to a lot is from the poet The Penny. You could be the best poet in the world, but if you can't support that by being a nice person, your art loses something. I think that idea can sometimes make it difficult to enjoy work from certain artists. Oh, I love that quote. That's great. Thank you, Kieran. You also say, also very much agree on not being able to zoom properly being a big obstacle to purchase. I have a minor visual difficulties and have been known to get frustrated with websites and give up if it takes too much effort to navigate. I would say as well, one of the reasons why I haven't really got into Pathfinder is that they've got an incredibly difficult. Again, it might have changed since I've been on the website, which is about a year or so ago. If I wanted to buy a module, it is so difficult to find out what stuff is. If I want to log in and get downloads, dreadful. Absolutely impossible to get through. So I appreciate, this is not the game itself, but even to get to the game, there's a lot of stuff. It feels like lots of barriers. I make websites for a living, and this stuff makes me cry. Yes, I'm so sorry. Avert your eyes. Concept warnings, bad websites indeed. But I wanted to show. So this is the main site. So if you go onto Call of Cthulhu RPG, so this is all the stuff you can get. Again, I will zoom out as much as I can, but appreciate this big image stays. That you can see the top of it is actually nothing. None of the images changes, which is a shame. But again, it does a lot. Like it uses the images stuff. There is a tiny bit. If I hold over, like a tiny bit of alt text. Not much. Doesn't describe what it is. So all this text you can't read, which is a shame. But they clearly link off to places as well. And here's where you can get the books again, all in American dollars, because that's where I am now. But look at. Can I just say? I just see this one, the 40th anniversary limited keeper rulebook. How nice does that one look? Oh, love that. But yeah, so there's lots of stuff you can go to. There's a Jane Austen Regency Cthulhu. So there's for the space system, which is the universal role-playing engine, which we'll come on to. There's loads of different flavors of Call of Cthulhu. There's obviously the traditional sort of 1920s horror. We've got pulp Cthulhu. We've got modern Cthulhu. All these sort of variants. So there's loads of things to get your teeth into, which might feel very overwhelming. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to look at the very basic Quickstart rules from the 40th anniversary. But before we get on to that, I want to show you the Dollhouse, because I didn't realize this existed before. Here it is. Yes, not ideal. It's very green. But what I said from quickly making an account, a free account as well, it looks like you can make lots of different types of investigators for different kinds of versions of Call of Cthulhu. You've got 6th edition there, so if you want to play an older edition. You've got handouts as well, that you can create stuff. So it's a bare bones sort of thing. Because for this one, I've always made it using form fillable sheets and then using the PDF guide. But if you wanted to try and make it, you can do it here as well. And you can roll and stuff. So it's a very bare basic rules. But I think, it's not bad. It's better than what we could have. But I know there are other systems as well. I know Roll20 has, there are other things as well, but there is this free one as well. So if you want to quickly make your own characters, you can do here as well. I'm currently writing a late Victorian Cthulhu horror investigation, and a 1920s one in the Netherlands with Dutch and Belgian myths and legends. Oh, that's so awesome, Neversquid. Amazing. Now, the final thing I'm going to say before we go into the actual video is that I found the rule set when I looked at it a little while ago really difficult, like because it feels very impenetrable, and you'll see why. And I think maybe it's a mixture of the format and stuff. So I did want to quickly recommend a couple of channels that do, because this is the thing, if you type in Call of Cthulhu, character creator, or how to play into YouTube, you get tons and tons and tons and tons of videos, and they're fairly long. So I just wanted to quickly show the one that I used. It's old now, but I think it did a good job. So here is Call of Cthulhu by the good friends of Jackson Ellis, a Call of Cthulhu podcast. Right. The reason I'm showing you this one is because you'll notice each video is under 10 minutes. I think that's super important. If you're trying to get a player, if you're trying to make players, if you for whatever reason you're not doing character creation together, sending them this video, which is very straightforward. I think this particular gentleman does a very good job of just going, here's how you make a character. This rolls dice. This doesn't go into nitty gritty so much. So I would recommend checking this particular playlist out if you want to get people to create characters. I think that's super, super useful and interesting. It's all under 10 minutes, so there's no excuse, so to speak. Seth Sorkowski, whose name I can never say, does an incredibly in-depth review, which again I highly, highly recommend if you wanted to run a longer campaign. Also does reviews of other ones. You can see there's Pulp Cthulhu at the bottom there, and Call of Cthulhu starter set. I think he's very good. I do admit I have to put his videos on 1.5 speed because he's got a very lovely voice. He's a little bit of a slow burn, so I have to put him up a little bit quicker. But again, each of these videos is about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but I do recommend checking those out as well. And then finally, Becca Scott. Becca Scott, I was delighted that she has got into doing more RPG stuff and does quick how to play it as well. And a lot of her Good Time Society, they do playthroughs of Call of Cthulhu, so I think those are quite good to go check this out. I think she's a cracking keeper as well. And if you're going to Gen Con, apparently she's running some sort of really big, like, hidden identity Call of Cthulhu mega game. But anyway, those are just some things I put in. Or maybe we put them in the doobly-doo after the stream as well. Just because I thought to myself, ooh, I felt for this because there's so much resources out there already. I thought I'd share the ones that I've noticed, and I thought, I'll put a pin in that for later. But all that out of the way, let's go to the actual PDF, which I cannot see. There we go. So like I said, this is the 40th anniversary one. This one is 50 pages long. It came out in 2021, I believe. And you'll notice the reason you know this is the current version is that it's got a very decent image at the front. I will say this is one of the nicer cover arts, I think. The previous one was a very, just incredibly blue, and it felt pixelated. I don't know about anyone else, but that was the one I used. But this is the updated version. I think it's just got a new cover, so to speak. Like I said, it's 50 pages long, and there is an adventure in it, which we're not going to go into. I'll maybe give some thoughts on the adventure itself, because I have played it, I've run it through, and we'll go from there. And yeah, this is free. You can get this. You know what? I should have actually showed you where you can get it. Oh, that's not it. Quickly get back to it. Where I've lost my stream. There we go. Alright. So you can get this Quickstart if you go to there we go. Online play. Getting started. No, this is I've ruined it already. I knew this. Oh yeah, go down. Start set, play online. Go to like here, so the actual thing is chaosium.com Cthulhu-Quickstart, and this is where you can get it here. You can download a free copy here, or you can get a print on demand of the original art at the Chaosium, so you can actually get a printed copy as well. Obviously, that will cost more. And then from there, you can be like, oh, I want to do the starter kit. No, I want to get this. You've loaded it into the RPG command already. I know that, but I was just trying to show it as well, because there's always a look, don't show as well. But that's why I should have used that command, shouldn't I? That's what I know. But yes, yeah, go and check out that. Right, let's get cracking, shall we? As the editor says. Right. So first off, I love the sort of texture that we have in these books. I've said this before. Vason has it. A couple of the other sort of like artwork where we have this sort of textured paper that is essentially just printed or created in some way. I really like that. problem I have is that it adds a lot of ink to the printed version of it. Looks very cool in PDF, but I don't think it's necessarily needed. You see here at the top where the book ends, so to speak. That would all be wasted ink, which is that's the only thing is that cool, but I'm not a big fan of it myself. Got the credits, which is good. Work of fiction, table of contents. Do you hear the call? I'm zooming it a little bit so people can see. Let me know if there's a problem with seeing, and also let me know if there's any issues with audio. So we have 4 big chapters here. We have sort of the overview bit. So do you hear the Call of Cthulhu? Or Call of Cthulhu. Call of the Cthulhu. The investigator, so that's going to be character creation. The game system itself, which takes roughly about 15 pages, which is quite good. And then we have the haunting, which is the actual quick start scenario, which has some player handouts. The scenario itself is only 7 pages long, it looks like. And there's some ready-made investigators as well, so which continues the rest of the book. So dead straightforward, simple. It's just got their bonus on that. Oh, nice. I love it. It really feels very poster-like, doesn't it? I really like that. And the green as well. And sort of light in the middle, sort of like, I love that. Right, welcome to Call of Cthulhu. There's double columns. It's fine. I don't mind double columns. It's just sometimes I'm like, oh, that's extra reading. No, it's not extra reading at all. So, interested in Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu? You're not alone. Call of Cthulhu is Chaosium's tabletop role-playing game of mystery and horror, where ordinary people delve into weird events and lore, and confront the terrifying and alien forces of the Cthulhu mythos. The game has won many awards for gaming excellence and is published by Chaosium Inc. and is one of the oldest role-playing companies in the world. Chaosium is famous for publishing engaging games, including Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, Pendragon, 7th Sea, and many more. I think we did do Pendragon very recently. Hey, Naomi, how are you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hey, you got some peace and quiet this coming weekend, so that's good. Thank you for joining us. How have you been? Are you at work? If you feel like talking about it, just jumped ahead. Seriously. You look well. Thank you, my love. Oh, that's very kind of you to say. It is. I think it is the sunshine, but also, I went outdoors as you suggested, and tell you what, going outdoors works. So, all you need to play Call of Cthulhu for the first time is this quick start rule guide, some polyhedral dice or a dice rolling app, plenty of imagination, and your friends. Now, you don't necessarily need friends for Call of Cthulhu because there's loads of solo RPGs, the Alone in the Dark series, which I can talk about in a little bit. I'm sewing a Hobbit bandolier for Polina's instruments. Oh, amazing! Again, I won't go on to too much, but I heard that she has I was not going to say a handmade harp, a portable harp, which I was like, for reasons, I thought it was her big harp for some reason, and I was like, oh my god, how is she gonna? Is that portable? I presume she has other harps. Oh, bless you. That's so sweet. But yeah, I hope you have having a good time doing that. I hope it's something that you want to do, by the way. So, yep, she's got a loop of leather and it goes on her belt. Oh, how wholesome. How wholesome indeed. I hope to see some pictures of it when she comes back. Welcome to the world. So, yes, what I do like straight away is like polyhedral dice or a dice rolling app. I think because a lot of times we forget that, digital things are important now, and we can easily get dice you don't. And this is me saying it, you don't need the dice. It's nice to have, but you can. Everything is accessible. We've got these basically, you can play this game for free. You've got the quick start rules, you've got a dice roller app. If you've got friends who can come around, great. If not, you can play online. Or you can play by yourself. These solo rules as well. Will do. Sorry, Cthulhu away. Cthulhu away! Should put that on a badge or something. It's all good. Call of Cthulhu is a game full of secrets, mysteries, and horror. Playing the roles of steadfast investigators, you and your friends will travel to strange and dangerous places, uncover foul plots, and stand against the terrors of the night. Within strange, forgotten tomes of lore, you may discover secrets that humanity was not meant to know. Along the way, sanity-blasting monsters and insane cultists work to bring about your demise. You and your companions may well decide the fate of the world. Call of Cthulhu is a horror-themed role-playing game concerning both horrors from beyond and from within. The game was inspired by 20th century horror and weird fiction written by H.P. Lovecraft and other writers like Belknap Long, Lynn Carter, and August Miller. I haven't heard of the newest writers. I'll check those up afterwards. That's quite fun. As well as contemporary writers like Ramsey Campbell, to name but a few. The game draws upon the fictional invention of what has become known as the Cthulhu mythos, a selection of stories sharing common plot elements, such as mythical books of arcane lore and alien godlike entities. The game draws on the imaginative ideas and creations arising from the Cthulhu mythos, while avoiding Lovecraft's own distasteful personal views and racism, which have no place in the game. If you have not read any Cthulhu mythos stories, we encourage you to do so. There are many to be found alongside Lovecraft's own, including modern reinterpretations of the Cthulhu mythos seen through the eyes of different cultures and heritage. Nice. It again goes back to that disclaimer I said at the beginning. It says it in much better words than I can. Just going, yeah, not a nice guy. But hey, don't let that discourage you, and I do explore stuff, but just be aware of it. I think that's always a good way to go about these things. Not like necessarily justifying him, that I don't want to justify him, but you know. Reading Cthulhu, hey team, no Nazi shit. XOXOXO. Pretty much, exactly that. These Quickstart rules give you all the information you'll need to begin playing and have fun with Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I do like how it says Call of Cthulhu, as if it's a directive, like, Call of Cthulhu, every time. So I'll try that when it comes up. And it includes a brief overview of the core rules and how to play the game. If you enjoy the experience, we recommend you considering moving on to Call of Cthulhu Starter Set, which includes the full basic rules, a simplified investigator creation system, and 4 introductory adventures. Once you have mastered and played through the material in the starter set, you'll be ready to use the Call of Cthulhu Keeper rulebook, which contains the full rules and a complete investigator creation system, as well as a plethora of game information. You can purchase these products from the Good Game and Hobby stores, large bookstores, online, and directly from chaosium.com. Oh my god, Cthulhu's calling. What did he say? Oh my god. No way. They will come? Oh. You can tell it's been written in a certain time, like, you know, again, large bookstores, online. It's sort of like, yeah, don't do Amazon. An overview of the game. So, the aim of playing Call of Cthulhu is having fun with your friends as you explore and create a story of mystery and horror. One player takes on the role of a game moderator known as the Keeper of Arcane Lore, or Keeper for short. You know what I say? I love a good title, and I do like Keeper, but I think I don't want to abbreviate it now. I want to be Keeper of Arcane Lore, whose role is to run the game for the rest of the players and apply the rules as necessary. Everyone else takes on parts of intrepid adventurers. Shows you what I was watching before we came on stream. Intrepid investigators of the unknown. Investigators. Heroes of the story, attempting to seek out and understand and eventually confront the horrors, mysteries, and the secrets of the Cthulhu mythos. Fun GM names? Absolutely. Cthulhu's. Girl, he's a keeper. Amazing. You should name don't do Paranoia anymore. Do Cthulhu. I think you'd be great. Again, Investigators of the Unknown. What a great title! Like Investigators of Place. No. Investigators of the Unknown. And I think any sort of title like I just love that stuff. As you are the person reading this book, we will assume that you're going to take on the role of the Keeper for the first few games that you play. The Keeper picks the story to run. These are known as adventures or scenarios. You can find an introductory adventure at the back of this book, a scenario called The Haunting. Each adventure provides the Keeper with a structure of story, the plot, to present to the players. The Keeper's role is a little like that of a director making a movie in which the actors don't know how the story will develop. The thing is that actors do know. They've got a script. But I understand. Maybe more of an improvised play, perhaps. The players are like actors who have the freedom to improvise their own scripts and actions within the game. The investigators need not be anything at all like the people who play them. Indeed, it is often more rewarding and enjoyable for players to create characters entirely unlike themselves, such as tough private eyes, wisecracking journalists, or learned academics. Most of the gameplay is a verbal exchange. Keeper sets the scene, describing the environment, the individuals, and the encounters to the players. The players will tell the Keeper what they intend for their investigators to do, how they interact with people and things, and so on. The Keeper then tells the players what happens. In play, the game takes the form of a group conversation with many twists and turns and fun along the way. Together, everyone tells the group's story, their version of how the characters overcame, or not, the challenges of the adventure. The game's rules use polyhedral dice to determine if an investigator's action succeeds or fails when a dramatic conflict presents itself. For example, whether the investigators are able to leap out of the way of a giant statue about to crash down upon their heads. The rules in this quick start describe how to decide the outcome of such conflicts. Dragon Meet 2024, Cthulhu Doppelgangers. I mean, yeah, that could be quite fun. That's what I'm saying. Hey, pitch it to me. I'll go for it. Winners and losers. So in Call of Cthulhu, there are no winners and losers in the standard competitive sense. Play is cooperative. Participants work together to attain some common goal, usually to discover, then foil a nefarious plot being I was almost saying penetrated. No. Perpetuate. Oh, I can't say it. Carried out by the minions of a dark cult or some devious monster. The opposition that the dark investigators of a devious monster. Well, you guys can't see it. I just realised now. Apologies. Let me move that up a little bit, or maybe I'll. Let's try it. Let me move it in a little bit because I appreciate you can't see it. There we go. I'll move it up a little bit. I'll move it up and down a second. There we go. You guys can see it. Yeah, if you're not prepared, your characters to die in this, maybe not the system for you. Combat is brutal. I know. Not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate. You see, Nightbot got rid of it. I saw it, but Nightbot got rid of it. Where was I? The opposition that the investigators can face can often be an alien or hostile situation controlled by an impartial keeper and not another player. The keeper takes on the role of all the supporting characters and monsters in the adventure, whilst each of the players just plays one role, that of their investigator. Winning in such a situation depends on whether the investigators succeed in their goal, and losing is what happens if they fail to achieve it, though they may be able to try again later. During the game, investigators may become injured, suffer sanity-shattering experiences, or even die. However, someone has to make a stand against the cosmic horrors of the Cthulhu mythos, and the death of a single investigator matters little if it means repulsing Cthulhu's master plan to enslave the Earth. In the game, investigators are mostly ordinary people forced into heroic roles, but they are still fragile humans and prone to injury and death. If an investigator must retire from play, the player can pick up or create a new investigator to join the team and continue the story. Investigators who survive gain knowledge of horrendous monsters, powers from arcane volumes. Sorry, my brain went there. From arcane volumes of forgotten lore, and advancement in their skills as they become more experienced. Thus, the player's investigators continue to progress until their demise or retirement, whichever comes first. The image on the players has a slightly Vaesen feel to it, although I can't lie. Oh no, you're right. You're right, Kieran. It's the greeny sort of light, also sort of the colours. I think because on the Vaesen, on that main cover, there is an individual with a lantern looking out, and there's a creature sort of in the back. Oh no, she's lost her sanity die already. Hey, I'm a couple die short of a polyhedral set. Let's face it. But yes, I think you're right. You were talking about it before. Like, I feel like this is a nice introduction. If you've never played a role-playing game, or if you've never really heard of Call of Cthulhu before, I think it's quite a nice sort of like gentle, like, here's what we do. So it's a little bit long-winded, as you've seen, I've tripped over several words as a result. But I think overall it's quite a nice, quick, very accessible thing to that. Again, maybe just I would probably edit it down a little bit just to be like, because I feel like nowadays people know that role-playing games aren't necessary to win and lose. So maybe this is text from a little bit older period where D&D was a bit more competitive, and you'd go to conventions to win a scenario and then come back with lots of loot and then take that character onto different scenarios and stuff. Just a thought there. Role-playing dice. The keeper and players use a set of role-playing dice in the game. These polyhedral dice include percentile dice, the D100, four-sided dice, D4, a six-sided die, a D6, an eight-sided die, D8, and a 20-sided die. Such sets can be purchased from hobby stores. Only one set is needed, though, although players like to have their own dice sets. Well, alternatively, you can use a dice rolling app instead. And we know this that the D stands for dice. The number after it is the range of numbers available. So a D8 generates numbers from 1 to 8, for example, whilst a D100 1 to 100. In an adventure, the text will call different dice rolls using this terminology. So earlier, if the monster delivers 1d8 damage, then roll an 8-sided dice to determine how much damage is caused. I think they just need you to be like, if you don't know what an RPG is, go watch this YouTube video. Well, interesting. I talked about this before. So in Die, the role-playing game by your friend and mine, Grant Howard, it has a very simple like, what is an RPG? And it goes, Google it. Just type in actual play and you'll have it. And some people found that a bit too on the nose, a bit brutal, because like, what if it's the first time they're coming to it? And I think there's a balance, right? I'm very much the same. Like, you know, Google is now here. We've got stuff, so we maybe just need to be aware of the audience a little bit. But we also got to think like, oh, people might not know stuff. Do we always need an introduction to what is an RPG, or that sort of thing? Like, this has taken a little bit longer than necessary because of the way into it. I don't necessarily don't mind it too much. It's up to, I think it's just as long as it's like signal posted in some way. So like with the World of Warcraft, the Worldwide Wrestling one, what was quite nice about the second edition, they said if you've played an RPG before, skip to this section and go through it from there. And it told you which bits to go to first. And it's like, if you've never done wrestling, if you've never watched any wrestling, read these essays. And like, it told you the structure of what to do and stuff. I quite like that. And I think more RPGs would benefit from a structure like that, because ultimately they're books for lots of different audiences and not just one particular audience. I think your publisher should have one on the site. Oh wait, hang on. Sorry, bro, it's Grant. Yeah, no. I think it's okay to be like, here's where to find it specifically. I think your publisher should have one on the site. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's like what I said yesterday or the day before when we did Paint the Town Red, which is the new Sad Vampires from Soul Muppet. There was they talked about the safety tools in it, which are obviously very, very important. Unlikely we're going to get safety tools in this, by the way. Just heads up on that, because it's maybe I don't know. It's a new edition, so who knows? But with the Paint Town Red, it talked about like, safety tools are important. Here's some examples. You can find more online. And I was like, would be nice if they gave a link or a QR code to the RPG safety toolkit or something like that. Like, it make it digital. So that's the only thing I said. I really like that structure you described in Worldwide Wrestling. Never beat me to it. As a UX designer, telling someone to find information elsewhere is a big no-no. People just won't or will bounce off, but telling people to skip certain sections they're familiar with general RPG stuff is good. Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think one of the best writings we've come across recently is that Worldwide Wrestling book, which I recommend. You can find that on the npddesign.com website or itch. And it's a great book anyway. I really like Worldwide Wrestling. But that's not what we're looking at, guys. But yeah, I agree. It's interesting to see how we would structure a book together. Here we go. And then we've got never played a role-playing game before, which we won't read into because I can see there's a play example here. Again, I do wish play examples weren't put as italicizer. Let's see that this is readable. Or screen readable, sorry. Because I feel like italicized stuff, I don't know, that for me is stuff like stage directions and stuff. I feel like you need to set them apart, maybe put it on like, it's tricky to do different colors, I appreciate, because obviously if you're printing it black and white or something like that, but maybe having it out as a script, like GM, Alex, Debbie, all that sort of thing, Morgan, Susan, and describing stuff from there. But we won't read out that. But I do like those boxes there. You can go, never played a role playing game before, so I have. Don't need to read this now. How are we doing? Yeah, I can move that over in a second when we get to it. The centaur dice usually consist of 2 to 10-sided dice, which are rolled together at the same time. One die is units numbered from 1 to 0, and the other is numbered 10 to 00. Both dice are rolled at the same time and should be read together, so a 30 on the tens dice and a 5 on the units dice should be read as 35%. A roll of double zeros combined with a 0 for the tens and the units indicates a roll of 100, whilst a roll of tens combined with any other roll indicates a roll of under 10. See, this is the thing. I always forget this. I always go, oh, wait, a 3? Oh, 0. No zeros. So yeah, and for this, actually, one thing I would recommend, I mean, if you're using a dice roll online, that's absolutely fine. But I always get tens and units fine. Even if you don't have tens, using a unit is fine. Just different colors or even different sizes of die, because my god, sometimes you look at it and go, "Oh, I've succeeded." I have not, because you just confuse the colors in your head. Or even just be like, "Here's a tens unit, rolled it. Okay, that's a 5. Here's the unit. Okay, that's a 2. I just feel like doing it like that, like in your head, just making it, just because otherwise I forget as well. Sometimes the dice notation. So this is just saying when you have 2, you mean 2d6, yeah, etc. And any pluses or any modifiers after this as well. Equipment required. We've kind of already gone through this. At least one other person to play the game with. A quiet space to play, such as around a kitchen table or a lounge. 2 to 4 hours in which to play. 2 hours? I think, again, here's the only thing I would add. Make sure you have breaks, but maybe you don't need that in the equipment side of it, do you? Of course, playing online is possible too. Instead of using real dice, you can use an online dice roller, and you can share investigation sheets as PDFs. You can get download writable PDF sheets via PSM. Also, you could have an online tracker as well, Google Sheets. You go to the Gauntlet as that's sort of a website where you can go and play games. They have a whole Google Drive with lots of different keepers, almost like you put them on Google Drives and stuff. Really good. Google Sheets. See, I'm still losing those. I'm still a couple of die short of a polyhedral set. Alright, investigators. So this quick start guide does not include rules for creating investigators from scratch. Those rules are included in the starter set and in the keeper rulebook. Absolutely fine. Instead, at the back of this book you will find 4 ready-to-play investigators. Note that the PDF versions of this are available to download at Chaosium as well. You can pick from these pre-generated characters and use them when playing the included adventure The Haunting. To better understand the investigator sheet, here's a lowdown on what everything means. So, you know what I should have probably done? We can always flip back to it, but here's an example of the sheet. A little bit, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. A little bit pixelated, which is a shame. Again, not that they're expecting me to like enhance and use it, but like you can see there, not great. Nice to have a clear view. Because, if you're going through it and like, oh yeah, there's the first aid. It's under 50%. I always think that you should try and make any image you use in PDF like as crisp as you can, so that if people do zoom in, it's not pixelated. So at the top here, and this is obviously the 1920s era investigator. Obviously, it might change on the later ones as well. So we've got about your investigator. You've got your. Let me move it across so people can see. There we go. We've got the name. Actually, this is where my screen isn't good. But yes, we've got name. We've got age is here. Gender, occupation, as well as birthplace and current residence. In Call of Cthulhu, an investigator's occupation determines the skills that they're most proficient in. And also, this was not on the when I looked at it previously. You've got pronouns in there as well, which is quite nice. That's a nice change. Characteristics. Sorry, we've got 8 characteristics used to measure strength, constitution, size, dexterity, appearance, education, intelligence, and willpower. Each of these has a regular percentile value between 1 and 100. Thus, strength at 60 means the strength of 60%. Note that there are 2 smaller boxes at the edge of each characteristic. The upper box is half the value, or the hard value, which is the regular value divided by 2. So if it was 60, it's going to tell you in a second if it's going to be 30. Whilst the slower small box is 1/5, or an extreme value. So the regular value divided by 5. 12? Yes, I got it right there. And this is the main thing, and we'll see in Call of Cthulhu. Like, obviously, it's a D100 system. You roll. If you get equal to or under that stat, you've succeeded. If you get under half that stat, so if you've got 30 in that strength, that is a hard success. And then if you got under 12, it's an extreme success in those ones. And obviously, it depends on the characteristic as well. So I think being able to fill that out immediately is pretty good. And I know that some of the form fillable sheets for this do it automatically, so you don't have to be there going, what's 1/5 of 75%? You know. Right, moving that back a bit. Also, this is quite small. This and it's also got here's this area, here's this area. You need to have this bigger on one side, I think, so you can actually see it. Especially, I appreciate, obviously, I'm going through it as a PDF, so it would be easy to see. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit more. I think it should be a little bit bigger so you can see it. Right. Then, I was that a little bit. Yes, you can see that. So, these skill rolls and difficulty levels, page 10, for what these values mean in play. So each other characteristic, those 8 characteristics, measure a certain attribute. Strength is the raw physical power your investigator can bring to bear. The constitution is the health and hardiness of your investigator. Size is an abstract value of your investigator's height and weight. Dexterity is physical agility and speed. Appearance is the physical appeal or how good looking your investigator is. Education is a measure of the knowledge that your investigator has accumulated through formal education or the venerated school of hard knocks, i.e. street smarts. And then intelligence, a measure of your investigator's cunning, problem solving, and ability to make leaps of logic and intuition. And finally, power, a combination of force of will, spirit, and mental stability. In addition, there are 4 key values for an investigator. We've got hit points, magic points, luck, and sanity. These values may go up and down in play. Let's see. Yes, they're also here as well. You can just see on the edge there. So you've got the two first columns are the characteristics, and then you've got those ones there: hit points, magic points, luck, and sanity. Interesting with this new. I realised now what the difference is. The luck and sanity had their own numbers, and you would have to move it on a track. Or now you just write down the number, which is pretty good. I did cringe a little when I heard you say gender was on the sheet, and then felt a great relief when you said it had pronouns as well. Looking at it, actually, it doesn't say gender on this sheet. I think they've misspoke here. Sorry, I'm moving it back a little bit. It says you see where it says pronoun here? It doesn't say gender or sex. I wonder if it did on the previous. I just think it's been a while since it. So the reason I'm looking at this is because I'm going to run a quick start of the scenario next week for someone. I think they meant to say pronouns. So there you go. It's easy to change gender to pronouns, but having pronouns there from the beginning is a good tool for inclusivity and accessibility. 100%. I don't know if it will say in I don't know if it will say in here, but appearance stat can be very subjective and will sometimes not do so well depending on the NPCs. Look amazing as a flamboyant dancer won't help you much if you're in a dour office. Yes, no, I like. Yes, I know what you mean. That as giving you an example of what it does. In the starter set, it gives an example, more examples of the appearance stuff about that, about people not wanting to talk to you. If you're in the first example is a missing persons case, and you have to go around town talking to people in the neighborhood. But if you look like a very scruffy individual, people don't want to talk to you because of the appeal stuff, and so you have to check your appeal against various. I can't remember what it was. It had to be an appeal of 50 or higher or something. And it explained it in that particular one as well. Oh, it's probably going to say it here actually. Oh no, it's not. We moved past it. So hit points is when your investigator suffers damage and deducts damage points from the hit points. At 0 hit points, your investigator falls unconscious and may die. The hit points, wounds, and healing later on. So yeah, that's what I remember. Sorry, I was off track a bit. But the character sheet before, on the older versions, you used to have be able to track your hit points on you had numbers and you had to move the track around, and the same for your sanity and luck points as well. You had to move those around. They've got rid of that now, and you just write a number, which I think, I don't know, it makes sense. Absolutely, it keeps it cleaner overall. But there's something delicious about going, oh yeah, I'll just spend all this luck, and I'll meet the success as a result. There's something about seeing it. You go, yeah, I can do that. I don't know. I realised that was missing now. Oh, that's changed. Magic points are used to cast a spell or some other magical effect. When spent, magic points generate at a rate of 1 point per hour. If a character has used up all their magic points, any further expenditure is taken from their hit points. See Corbin's spells, page 31. So that's from the Haunting. For example of how magic magic points can be used. Luck is used to determine whether external circumstances are with or against your investigator, whether your investigator can find a lantern in a dark barn, and so on. See luck rolls on page 12. Sanity measures your investigator's ability to deal with the shock and corruption from exposure to alien and mind-bending horrors of the Cthulhu mythos. Sometimes, when such things overcome your investigator, they lose sanity points, reflecting the lingering effects of such trauma. See sanity on page 12. Know that starting sanity begins equal to power, but may later rise or fall through play, and the insane box is used to write 1/5 of the starting value. Wait, what? Oh, I see. Again, can't see it because it's all pixelated, but it'll say here. Insane box is used to write in 1/5 of the starting sanity value. I like the idea of a tracker you described because it feels like an abacus, which is always nice. I really, I agree with you, Kieran. And Never Squid says, I like how they use luck as a currency in the system, to be honest. Spending it for success now, for more difficult later, is such a good trade-off. I agree. Yeah, I like it. I think you'll be able to tell me, Nev, because you've played more of it than me, but isn't there not a house rule that's in the Keeper book about using luck to re-roll stuff? So there's like a special rule that wasn't in this previous Quickstart that I had to go find in the Keeper's book. I played with it and I was like, I really liked it, and then I couldn't find it in here at all. Maybe I'm making that up now, but there's definitely a rule that I was like, you spend it for something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look for it afterwards. But yeah, no, I like the idea of a tracker, and I like spending. Okay, just do it. We'll make it. It's very much, you know what it's like. It's like Solemn Veil. You go, okay, I'll take those weird points. Sod it. We need to succeed at this one, and not worry about later stuff when you know later stuff is going to be really important, and it's probably going to have worse consequences. Running along the bottom of the section are temporary insanity, indefinite insanity, major wounds, unconscious, and dying. These are checked when certain events happen during the game. Alright, and then skills, again, with So skills. So this section lists all the common skills available. Your investigator can attempt to use most of these skills using the basic value noted in parentheses next to the skill. So for example, accounting is 5%, meaning that everyone has 5% skill in accounting. I don't. On ready-made investigator sheets, you can see that each character has increased values for certain skills. These higher values supersede the basic values. The ones that increase values are skills that your investigator is, relatively proficient in. The higher the value, the more skilled they are. Note that the boxes to the right of each skill, the middle is the half value, whilst the box on the right is the 1/5 value, so the hard and extreme value. For example, with a charm skill of 50%, the middle box would be 25%, and then the box on the very right would be 10%, so that would be 1/5 of 50. We'll see those later. You can also use the luck rolls as a GM lifeline for players to roll the GM to give them a clue if they're stuck. Ooh, I did not know that. I like that. I like that as well, because sometimes you're like, oh, how can I help the players when you're like, I'm not so sure about stuff. I like that. I was like, okay, spend something. It's, it's almost like an escape room where you add on, like, you lose like a couple of minutes. You have to ask the escape room person that's watching you, go, okay, we need a clue. And they're like, all right, do a dance for me and lose 2 minutes, and then I'll give you a clue. But yeah, so if I go up, so you can see here, and this is obviously the main bulk of the main bulk of the sheet, all these skills, which can be off-putting, admittedly, because there's so much you can do. But what I do like is that there's space to have specific, like, ones that you can add, that you can customizable to, and actually all of them, I don't know, I like having a basics for them going, oh, I'm not very good at history or psychoanalysis at 1% there. But, and then the art and craft one, I know over here, it can be specific. You can just say, oh, I want it to be in, I don't know, fan making or something. And you can increase it there. And so, yeah, I like you can customize it a bit. Shame. Again, a shame we can't see a nicer version of it. I know there's going to be ones later on. But, yeah. Weapons, so that's number 4. So that's at the bottom of the sheet here. Weapons, know any weapons possessed by your investigator. Each weapon has an entry for its regular, hard, and extreme skill values, the damage it inflicts, usually a die roll, and the number of attacks per round it can use. For firearms, its range, ammunition, and its malfunction number. See combat. Interesting. So there you go. So you can see it. And number 5 is the action reference. This is a quick reference area showing the move. So the human average is move 8, so that's basically your speed. The build, damage bonus, DB, and also a duplicate of your dodge skill value, all useful during combat and other dramatic events. So yeah, if in doubt, look at the bottom right, and hopefully that will help you. Hopefully. And then, I see, now we've got the back of the page here, so it is 2 pages, this. We have my story, so used to write in the personal history of your investigator. You may add and develop this during play. And that's tiny. Tiny writing. Backstory, so each entry is a way to further describe your investigator. Whether it's a short description of how they appear, their ideology and beliefs, or their traits and mannerisms. You can also make a note about any significant people in their life, treasure possessions, and locations that are important to them. Most times, filling in 2 or more of these sections helps round off your character. Note that injuries and scars, phobias and manias, arcane tomes and spells and artifacts, and encounters with strange entities are usually filled out during play rather than before. So yeah, just a bit of an example. And they've moved it down here. Before it used to be higher up, these fellow investigator stuff with the little tentacle whatnot stuff there. Oh well. Gear and possessions record important items, equipment, and weapons carried on your investigator's person. As a rule of thumb, an investigator should be carrying the items they would use day to day in their occupation, so there's no need to write every single thing down. Only important and relevant stuff. I've heard people call these knives, aka write stuff in here that can be knives the GMs can stick you with, metaphorically. Sorry, keeper. No. Yes, we have a title. Nev, honestly. I like that though. Give me the knives to stab you with. I think I like that. That's quite cool. So the credit rating is a skill. So yes, this was talked earlier, wasn't it? One of the skills. It can be used as a means to exemplify your investigator's wealth or social status. So here's an example of it. Obviously, the higher you are, the more wealthy you are. And again, which I think you were talking before as well, Nev. If you've got an appearance, and if you've got the appearance for stuff, then that's great. If you've got credit rating, maybe you can, what's the word, like barter better, or manipulate better. Bribe. That's the word I mean. Bribes. Because it's not like a general sort of currency. Yes, rating, credit rating can also matter as well as appearance. 100%. There you go. Well, don't worry about the section. It's just for advanced games where your character's money is on hand and savings might be important. Fellow investigators, record the name of your investigators, other players in the game, as well as their investigator names, and then a quick reference sheet at the bottom there. One thing I would say, I guess, that this is also secondary important information. Like, yeah, you don't necessarily need this stuff. Like, ultimately, I don't think you need this on the character sheet. I do like the quick reference stuff. And it's one of those things where normally you'd give a separate sheet. You got the character sheet, and then here's a quick reference rule so everyone can look at it together. I feel having it at the back, on the back page, at the bottom, isn't as important. Whereas I think it should be something like at least on the top or maybe on the first page. Like, I would say, like, we don't. It's tricky, isn't it? Like this space here, like, as much as I love having a picture of myself, I'd put the quick reference stuff at the top here myself. But also etiquette and knowing how to act in your environment. App isn't a catch-all. I'm so pretty I can get away with everything. Appearance, I see. Yeah. Neversquid says the phobia and manias is the section I usually house rule a ton. I really don't like the way they do it by default. Yes. No, I know what you mean by that as well. Like rolling for it and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of straightforward in terms of like, here's how to read your character sheet. As it says, the quick rules, we don't know how to make a character. Interestingly, in the previous version, it told you how to make characters. But you've got ones at the back here, and also, like I said, that those videos I showed earlier, those playlists, they can show you how to create a character within like 10 minutes or so, which is quite useful, I find. And also, it doesn't have to go as in depth in as much in-depth detail as they do in the full creation rules in the main book. Hopefully you can't hear the lawnmower outside, because someone is mowing quite loudly next to my house. The game system. Okay, so this is what we're really here for. So skill rolls may be called for during dramatic situations in the game. Walking down a well-lit hallway is not a dramatic situation, whereas running down a rubble-strewn corridor whilst being chased by monsters most definitely is. Only make a skill roll when the outcome is uncertain and dramatic. When attempting a skill roll, you should first agree a goal with the keeper. What is your investigator trying to achieve? If your skill roll is successful, you achieve your goal. Additionally, when you successfully roll a skill, put a check mark next to the box next to your investigator sheet. You can only get one check per skill at a time, and at the end of the scenario, that skill could increase due to experience. Your keeper will ask you to roll for skill increases as you roll. If you roll over a skill check's value, you gain 1d10 points to that skill. So, for example, if you have a check to climb skill of 40, you rolled 1d100 and get 58. This is above 40, so you get to add 1d10 points to climb. In other words, the more you know, the harder it is to learn something new. Better. Yes, I agree with that. I'm just checking this very poor character sheet. Yeah, so you can see there. You can see the little boxes where you would tick in the session and then remove it at the end of the scenario when you are increasing those levels. Yeah, I quite like that as a way to level up individual skills. Hi Hogan, how you doing, my friend? How you doing? You just caught me having a drink and just going through we got down to the main system of Call of Cthulhu now. On occasion, you may need to roll a test that is not covered by the skills on your sheet. If so, look at your investigator's characteristics and determine which one of them is best to use and treat it like a skill. So yeah, those initial 8 characteristics. Sorry, I'm going back on the top. So these 8 ones at the top here, you'd use one of those and roll it against that. Right, skill rolls and difficulty levels. So, your keeper will tell you when you should attempt a skill roll and how difficult the task is. You just describe what your investigator is doing, and the keeper will advise you if a skill roll is needed. A regular roll requires a roll of equal to or less than your skill value on a d100, so just a regular success. A difficult roll requires a d100 equal to or less than half your skill value, so a hard success. So again, if we're having that strength of 50, if it's a regular roll, you're just going to get 50 or under. If it's a hard success, you have to get a 25 and under on a d100 roll. And if a task is approaching the limits of human capability, requires a d100 roll equal to or less than 1/5 of your skill value, so an extreme success. So for this one, it is 10, wasn't it? For this one, so yeah, I think it was, yes, 1/5, a 10 if it's a strength of 50. It's gonna give you. There's an example right there. Now, if you can justify it for your investigator's actions, you can push a failed skill roll. Pushing a roll allows you to roll the dice for a second time. However, the stakes are raised. If you fail a second time, the keeper gets to inflict a dire consequence upon your character. You might partially succeed in your goal or not, depending on your keeper's determination. But either way, your investigator will pay for some sort of price for failing the roll. Before a push roll is made, the keeper has the option of foreshadowing what might happen if the push roll is failed. The player can then decide whether or not it's worth risk the second roll or not. Just got home from work, had to do some overtime, so pulled a 12-hour shift. Ooh, poor you, my friend. Well, hopefully this is something to relax by, reading some Cthulhu. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I hope you've got a nice little treat planned. My little treats are usually ice cream or some sort of alcoholic beverage, and then just watching some Netflix. So, but I hope you're all right, man. I hope it wasn't too stressful the overtime. And then we've got an example here. Again, the examples are in italics. I understand that they want to make them stand out, but I think you could make them stand out by putting them in a box, in some way. I've just noticed this. The little symbols. Oh, you probably can't see them. There you go. The little symbols they've got on here. That's new. I haven't seen that before. What about on the other pages? No, I don't think. Oh, there is. There is. I just completely missed them the first time. Shows what I know. I like that, and I like the little detail at the top here, the little tentacles. and the all right. So let's move back. So, opposed skill rolls. If two investigators are opposing one another, or an investigator is in conflict with a significant keeper-controlled character, monster, or NPC, i.e., one for whom the stats are listed in this scenario, the keeper may require an opposed roll. I do think a keeper-controlled character should be KCC or something like that. Keeper-controlled character. To resolve an opposed roll, both sides must make a skill or characteristic roll and compare their levels of success. A regular success beats a fail, a hard success beats a regular success, and an extreme success beats a hard success. In the case of a draw, the side with the highest skill value wins. If both skills are equal, they have both sides roll a d100 and the lowest result wins. So, just so I've got that right, I get the levels of success, and it's got it here as well, which again would be quite nice on a separate reference sheet at the top, I think. But my question, I'm just going to read it through again. So obviously, regular, so it goes, failure is the worst thing. Regular, hard, extreme, each of these beating the other. In the case of a draw, the highest skill value wins. So I'm guessing then, if you both fail, but and it's a strength check, and one of you has 50 and the other has 40, the one that has 50 wins, right? Because they've got the higher skill value, rather than what you've rolled on the die. But then, if both skills are equal, then you roll off again with the lowest result winning. So if they were both 50, you rolled again, and one was 30, one was 25 at 25. Am I right in thinking that? Because again, just I guess just to make it incredibly clear, I think maybe here I would do with an image or something like that. Kieran says, I also find the text boxes a lot easier to both identify and then read than italics. I consider books published by DK to be the gold standard when it comes to accessibility of layout, and the way they use text boxes is a big part of that. Ooh, DK. You're gonna have to remind me what that's a. I can see the logo in my head, but you're gonna have to remind me what the brand is for that, Kieran. And sometimes as I read those books, DK, I want to say Dictionary Kingdom, but I don't think that's what it is at all. Let me know, because I know exactly what you mean. Because they're sort of accessible for all ages reading, right? Bonus and penalty die. Bonus penalty die. Sometimes the prevailing conditions for investigators, their environments, and or crime available can hinder or benefit a skill or characteristic roll. That's a very long sentence. Under certain conditions, the keeper may grant a bonus or penalty die to a roll. One bonus die and one penalty die cancel each other out. Such bonuses and penalties operate in similar ways to raising the difficulty of a roll and can be used instead of or in addition to increased difficulty. Normally, though, bonus and penalty dice are used primarily with opposed rolls. So, for each bonus die, roll an additional tens die alongside the usual pair of percentile dice, making a roll. You're now rolling 3 separate dice, 1 units dice and 2 10 dice. To take the benefit of bonus, use the tens dice that yields the better, i.e. lower results. So that's your bonus, lower 10 die. We've got an example there, which we're running. Oh, look at that. And an image as well. Yeah, I will say, again, I know I keep talking about the previous one. The previous one had just black and white ones here. So here we've got an actual example. So if we were rolling here, so yes, I understand. Dorling Kingsley. Thank you, Kieran. I love that. I have the black and green special dice. I love it so much. I love them so much. Yeah, I was just admiring them as well. Again, because in the previous one, we didn't have color images. So I like it. And I do like how they've used the same die set to indicate bonus and penalty die here as well. I quite like that. I had to look it up. Dorling Kingsley. I couldn't remember what their names were either. But yeah, I recognize the DK and it's the big book logo, huh? And then for each penalty die, roll an additional tens unit alongside the usual pair of percentile dice. You're now rolling 3 separate dice, 1 units, and 2 10 dice. For penalty, use the 10 dice that yields the worst result. Again, I would make this simpler. Just for penalty die, just put that line at the bottom of this line, So I understand what it is. It's a way to do it. And we've got 2 examples here of this one, which again, I don't think you necessarily need, but it's okay. Alright, luck rolls. me see. Make sure we see. Yeah. So luck rolls may be called for by the keeper when circumstances external to an investigator are in question, and also when determining the fickle hand of fate. If, for example, your investigator wants to know if there is an item lying nearby that could be used as a weapon, or if the flashlight they have found has any juice left in it, then call for a luck roll. Note that if a skill or characteristic is more appropriate to the situation, then it should be used rather than luck. To succeed with a luck roll, the investigator must roll equal to or under their current luck value. If the keeper calls for a group luck roll, the player whose investigator has the lowest luck score amongst those present should make the roll on behalf of the group. Yes, I like that. I like the idea of group rolls and then using the lowest the person has got the lowest stat. You know, like same with stealth as well, is the worst at it to do it. Because it makes sense that they will very likely be the ones that fail it. But again, not necessarily. Sanity. So, whenever an investigator encounters the horrors of the Cthulhu mythos or comes across something mundane yet horrific, such as stumbling across a friend's mutilated corpse, make a percentile roll against the investigator's current sanity score. If you roll over your current sanity, you lose a greater amount of sanity points. If you roll under, you will lose less or none. The sanity loss is generally described for an event as something like this, so 0/1d6 or 2/1d10. The number before tells you how much you lose if it's equal to or under if you make the check for the current sanity score. The number after is how much you would lose if you roll over it. It's the worst result. Again, I like the way it's notated, but you definitely need to be told that, because sometimes you're like, I don't understand what that means. But I know it's maybe an older way of sort of notating it, but I think it makes sense. So when you fail a sanity check, or sanity roll, sorry, the keeper gets to momentarily dictate your investigator's next action as the fear takes hold. Perhaps they unwittingly scream, freeze, or squeeze the trigger of the gun they are holding. However, if an investigator loses 5 or more sanity points as a consequence of a single sanity roll, they have suffered major emotional trauma, and they must roll a D100. If the result is equal to or less than their intelligence, the investigator fully understands and comprehends what they have seen and goes temporarily insane for 1d10 hours. So yeah, if they have to, in order to fail this check, you have to make sure you go over it, for that intelligence one. If they fail the roll, their mind is close to the horrors and they remain sane. Brackets for now. Yes. So again, I will say this now, and I say this as someone who's, I don't know a lot about this sort of things anyway. First of all, let's talk about this in terms of the keeper gets to momentarily dictate your investigator's next action as it takes hold. I always double check with the players on that particular one, going, in this situation, it feels appropriate that you would scream or maybe shoot, squeeze the trigger of the gun. Does that seem fair? Because I want them to have, because it's just like your options are limited to, so and we discuss it there rather than you scream. Again, depends on the players I'm playing with, but I'd like to make sure that they're happy with the choice I've given them if they fail a roll, because there's nothing worse than being told that, I've now alerted to the whole thing, to the whole world that I'm in this horrible place, Nebsquid says, it's basically sanity rolls are if you understand the implications of what you're seeing, whether you did, where if you didn't, you don't lose sanity. Yes, absolutely at the bottom here, for sure. Again, it would be nice here, I think, to have a little flow diagram of stuff saying, did you lose 5 or more points from a single sanity roll? Next we do the intelligence check, all that sort of thing. Just because it's kind of hidden away. It's not doesn't stand out to me in this block of text currently. In addition, when falling insane, the investigator suffers a bout of madness for 1d10. Roll 1d10 and refer to the bouts of madness table. If an investigator is in the presence of other investigators, play the result round by round. The player has more or less control of their character, but should be guided by the keeper in terms of their investigator's portrayal of madness. If the investigator is alone, you may use the result to describe how your investigator is found sometimes later in a bad way, perhaps hiding in a cupboard, drunk in a gutter, or unconscious under a tree. Tag yourself. I probably would be unconscious under a tree, knowing myself. If your investigator is temporarily insane, the keeper may decide to add a phobia or mania to your sheet, such as a fear of the dark, a fear of confined spaces, or kleptomania, an irrational compulsion to steal things. Alternatively, they might decide to rewrite one of your existing backstory entries, perhaps corrupting it in some way, where you wrote, trusting under traits, the keeper corrupts us to fearful. Again, I would absolutely double check lines and veils about that, because that feels really personal. And again, yeah, the intent, again, we'll come on to the adding phobias and stuff like that. Again, double checking and making sure that the player is happy with that sort of thing. Session zeros, lines and veils, stuff like that. Because I feel that that's such a big thing. Taking someone else's character that they put a lot of hard work in and then going, I'm just going to rewrite this core memory of you. Again, it's something that I think as a player would very much enjoy, as long as that was the expectation going into this. Absolutely. Yes, this is the stuff I house rule. Call of Cthulhu is a game where lines and veils and stars and wishes are super important. I agree, and we're 12 pages in and there's no mention of it still. You'd think, again, I know these books are like 40 years old. You'd think with like an updated version or a reprint of it, you'd put something in about safety tools for something like this, because it is one of the world's biggest role-playing games of mystery and horror. It's just interesting because obviously every other RPG we've covered on this channel for the last couple of streams and stuff, they've always had a section on like safety tools and stuff, and whilst we don't always read it in full, it's nice to be like, there it is, and here you're like, not here. All right, how are we doing on time? Oh, okay, we've done an hour and 15. Okay, that's good. Where were we? So here, whilst temporarily insane, keeper may present your investigator with delusions or hallucinations. Is that a zombie creeping up on you, or is it just a homeless person asking for spare change? You can only be certain by asking to make a reality check. Elect to make a sanity roll. If you are successful, you see through the hallucination, but if you fail, you fall deeper into madness and leave. Once 1d10 hours have passed, the investigator is sane once more and cannot be affected by any more delusions. However, altered backstories or phobias or manias gained whilst insane remain in effect. Unfortunately, regaining sanity points can be a long and arduous process. Taking characters into some form of care whilst they take a break from the action or undergo some sort of psychotherapy are ways to recover small amounts of sanity. Successfully completing investigations also provides a way to gain sanity points. Oh, I think that's new. I don't remember that from before. That's nice. But such gains often do not outweigh the steady loss of sanity, which tends to be a downward spiral. As sanity slips away, investigators become less stable and their ability to deal with new horrors diminishes. For full rules on insanity in the game, they're more fully explained in the the safety tools are mentioned in the full book, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know about the Quickstart. Yeah, no. I hope so. I really hope so, but I hope to be proven wrong. I will say, you know what? When my books finally arrive, I'll have a quick check. I don't think it was included in the previous Quickstart one. The one I'm referring to is that blue cover one. Hang on. It's like I have to show people now. I'm like, ugh. This one is the one I have in a printed form, and I suspect it doesn't have those ones. I think it's 2017. I think this one came out. But yeah, again, I would hope that they would have it in other ones as well. I'm not sure though. No. I'm not sure either. This is why we read through that, and it's good to be critical of such things. Because again, it feels like it's been written for someone who's newish to role-playing games, or coming into, oh yeah, I want to play Call of Cthulhu, I've heard a little bit about it. So if this is their first entry into role-playing games, like what is a role-playing game? If they take the time to talk about what is a role-playing game, they do have the time to talk about safety tools, right? The books are older. Yes, absolutely. Right. Combat. So when you are confronted with the horrors of the Cthulhu mythos, it is a generally better idea to run away or avoid confrontation altogether, as such entities are very powerful and often resistant to bullets. However, sometimes there is no other choice than to go in, guns blazing, and make the best of it. When combat occurs, all investigators, as well as characters and monsters controlled by the Keeper, act in order of their dex values. The investigator, character, or monster with the highest dex acts first, and the others go in descending order from there. So that's great. We don't have to worry about rolling for initiatives or anything like that. Easy, sort of done. During a combat round, it is best described as long enough for everyone to take one significant action. The keeper keeps the flow of controls the flow of the round, and on each character's dex turn, the keeper decides or asks if an investigator what action is being taken. Usually, this is something as simple as I attack the monster, I pull out my revolver, I run away. The keeper should give everyone a chance to do something whilst being aware of the narrative flow of the events taking place. Neb says, one thing I always repeatedly stress is that running away is always an option to my players. Yeah, they don't listen though, do they? I agree. Certainly in something like this, yeah. I also think, from my memory, although we're about to go into it, I do remember that combat here is a little bit sticky at times, but I'm sure, like, once you get into it, it's fine. Like, it's going to describe it in detail, and I'll remember exactly. So, we have, investigators have 3 combat skills. We've got fighting, dodging, and firearms. 2 of these skills are made up of multiple specializations, such as fighting, brawl, or firearms, i.e. rifle, shotgun. Each investigator may have different specializations or none at all. Note that fighting brawl includes an unarmed combat and the use of simple weapons such as knives and clubs. However, wielding a sword requires fighting sword specialization. You make a combat roll using the appropriate skill, and just like any other skill. However, you don't get to push combat rolls. You simply make another attack next round, so that's good to know. So, close combat. So on a character's turn in the dex order, they may choose to initiate an attack against an opponent. In addition, each time a character is attacked, they get to choose how they will respond to it, be it by dodging, attempting to avoid the attack completely, or fighting back, attempting to avoid, block, or parry an attack whilst also hitting back. Both the attacker and defender roll percentage dice, so that opposed check again, and compare the levels of success. So, if you're initiating the attack, roll your fighting skill and compare your results to the opponent. If you're responding, you're fighting back, so use the fighting skill. You need to achieve a higher level of success than your attacker, and you inflict damage instead of your opponent. If you're responding but dodging, use your dodge skill. So again, at the bottom of the character sheet, it should tell you there where your dodge skill is, right? Your attacker needs to achieve a higher level of success than you. If you equal or exceed your attacker's level of success, you successfully dodge and avoid taking damage. Simple, straightforward. The winning side avoids receiving any damage, and inflicts damage unless they are dodging on their opponent. Note that when fighting back, responding to an attack on you, the best a person can achieve is a regular damage, whereas a character initiating an attack, if successful, could achieve extreme damage if they win the combat with an extreme success. If a blunt weapon, extreme damage deals maximum damage plus bonus damage. If an impaling weapon, extreme damage deals maximum damage plus an additional dice roll of the weapon's damage, and also damage bonus if any. Right, okay, again, it's all hidden in here. Would be nice if you had it in boxes and be like, hey, are you using a knife? Great, okay, you've got an extreme success, you've got extreme damage, so that's maximum damage, plus an extra dice roll, and any bonus damage you have, like from your size, right, from your strength. Just, otherwise it's just hidden away here. A good example here of, like, if you have a knife with 1d4 damage, you do 4, then another 1d4, and then need bonus. So it makes sense, but I'm like, I have to highlight that. There's no way of, like, seeing it. Alright, fighting maneuvers. So if a player is describing a goal in combat that is something other than simply inflicting harm, it can be resolved with a fighting maneuver. A successful maneuver allows the character to do one thing, such as disarm, knock an opponent to the ground, seize and hold an opponent, whereupon the opponent must apply 1 penalty die to their actions until they can break free from an opposed strength. A maneuver is treated in the same way as a normal fighting attack, using fighting brawl as the skill. The opponent may dodge or fight back as usual. Compare the builds of the 2 combatants. So that build size that you see again in the bottom right hand corner of your on the first page. If the character initiating the maneuver has a smaller build than the opponent's, they take a penalty die for each point of difference, the maximum of 2 penalty die. Pretty bad. If an opponent exceeds the attacker skill by 3 or more points, any attack maneuvers are ineffective. The attacker may be able to lay hands on their opponent but lacks the strength or size to take advantage of their grip. Interesting. Okay. I've got another example here. Through it, just in case. Then we've got outnumbered. A character outnumbered by the opposition is at a disadvantage. Once a character has responded to an attack, either fought back or dodged in the present combat round, all subsequent melee attacks on them in the same round are made with 1 bonus die. This does not apply to attacks being made by firearms. So yeah, if you're in the middle of a brawl and you do 1 punch and then suddenly you having to you dodge, suddenly everyone else has got their hands on you because it's very hard to react to loads of things going on. So that makes sense. Alright, firearms. So you may shoot a firearm on your turn in the dex order to initiate attack. Usually firearms cannot be used in fighting back situations. Make a D100 roll and compare the result with the firearm skills. If you've got a readied firearm, you act at your dex plus 50 for the purpose of determining the dex order. So yeah, if you're holding the shot, if you're like, I don't know, hiding in an ambush, you go higher up. That's true. If firing 2 or 3 shots from a handgun in 1 round, apply 1 penalty dice to each shot. And if at point blank range within 1/5 of dex and feet, the shooter gains 1 bonus die on a skill roll. Yes. Again, the one thing I would say, because you have a move skill as well, like it tells you like 8. I don't know about anyone else, and maybe those people who have played it more might be able to tell me. Do you use maps in Call of Cthulhu? Like, I can imagine you having like a VTT or something like that. I feel like the range of things, like within 1/5 of the dex feet, I feel that's a little bit. I think you should just say in close range, like next to you and stuff like that. Like, rather than giving specifics at this point, it's not as important as in D&D. No, I get that. It just feels like it feels very pedantic to be like the point blank range is like they're here within 1/5 of your dex. Yeah, I guess but I don't know. I think ranges for me are like zone. I always use zones. They're like engaged, near, far, wherever you are. You know what I mean? I just feel like this not so much. But I have used maps. That's fair. That's fair. Like I mean I can imagine maps here, but I wouldn't use them as combat maps. If you see what I mean? I don't know. I like maps to show like here is the layout of the house. Certainly with the house at the end here, but I've used the map for that. So that's the only thing. The target of the shot cannot fight back. You can't dodge a bullet. But instead, you may die for cover by rolling against the dodge skill. If the dodge skill is successful, the attacker's rolls are are made with 1 penalty die, i.e., make the dodge roll before the firearms roll. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of interrupting. I can imagine this happening. Going, I'm gonna shoot. Got ready to firearm. I'm gonna shoot at you and determine at this person. Oh well, I'm gonna try and dodge. Okay, roll your dodge first before I shoot. So there's a little bit of that going on. I think. I know somewhere that I think it's in the Keeper's Rulebook. They had that flow chart as well of like what to do in combat and what order and stuff, which I do find quite helpful, and I think would be a little bit helpful here as well, just to really make it clear what goes on. If the dodge roll is successful, the attacker's rolls, the character that opts to die for cover forfeits their next attack or action, regardless of whether they were successful or not. Or, if they have already used their attack this round, they forfeit the attack in the following round. That's interesting. I did not know that. That makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Quite brutal, though. Yeah, I like that. I do like that as a rule. Okay, so hit points, wounds, and healing. Points of damage are deducted from the character's hit points. Hit points cannot fall below 0, so do not record a negative value. When they reach 0, they fall unconscious and in some situations may die. When a character takes damage of greater than or equal to half their full hit points in a single blow, they have received a major wound. They must make a con roll or fall unconscious. If a character with a major wound falls to 0 hit points when they are close to death or dying, they must make a successful con roll at the end of the following round, and every round thereafter, or die. Only successful use of the first aid skill can alleviate a dying condition, which I think is like really low as well. Hang on, again, I'd appreciate. I know there's a better character sheet elsewhere, but I should have probably just printed one out, right? what was it? First aid is it's 30%. Yeah, 30%. It says there. That's not too bad. That's 30% base value. Sorry. So everyone can at least attempt to do it. Sorry. Oh, there we go. That's where it is. Zoom in. Yeah, I had a player just stand there and get shot to be able to use their rifle attack. Kieran says, I agree that a flowchart would be helpful, be copied into the Quickstart. I'm just about following along with you, but I think if I was just reading it alone, I'd be completely lost at this point. Yeah, as I said, because I have played this game before and used the Quickstart before, it is a little bit like, again, it's one of those things where if you do it together, as long as people don't mind stop and start combat as you're learning, like, okay, I can do this, and then willing to do that. It's like, when you're reading a board game for the first time, I find if you've got that willingness to try it out, that's okay. I can imagine if you had a full table of people, like 6 or more, playing this for the first time, combat, unless you have a GM who's obviously done this a lot, and can be, it knows the rules and stuff like that, and can easily help people, I think it could be quite off-putting. You'd be like, I don't know what I can do, etc. So I think, yeah, I would, if I was going to do this like as a thing, I'd make sure that everyone has a quick reference or a flow diagram or some sort when it comes to combat, so that they have it as a reference, so that when they're not being the focal point on their turn, they can go, oh, I see now, that's because so-and-so did this, and so this and this and this. I can imagine. If I play with new people, honestly, I don't expect them to read through everything themselves and stuff. I just explain things as they go, because I find they learn easier and remember more if they're doing it as they learn. And I do have diagrams. Again, you're a good GM, Never Squid, as a result. I very much appreciate a good diagram. And yeah, that's what I think this is why, yeah, if you were running this for the first time as a GM, I think there's a bit more pressure on you to make sure that, because they'll be looking to you going, I have no idea what these rules mean. And again, I don't think they're difficult rules. I just think the way it's laid out, if you were reading it through the first time, difficult. That's why I recommended that YouTube video list, because those videos are under 10 minutes. They cover the absolute basics, and I very much appreciate it like that. I also avoid automatic weapons because, holy cow, those rules are wild. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of automatic weapons in any games with combat, because yeah, they just add so much rubbish. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Again, it'd be nice to know like how other people use the combat. Like, again, I haven't watched any of the Good Society Call of Cthulhu playthroughs at all like that, but maybe I should do and see how they do, if they do combat and stuff like that, or if they do any, like you said, any automatic weapons or firearms and all that stuff. Anyway, sorry, I was distracted. So, only the successful use of the first aid skill can alleviate a dying condition. So if they rolled 30 or under, would get rid of that condition and stabilize the character. If a character suffers points of greater damage equal to their hit, if a character suffers points of damage greater than or equal to their maximum hit points in a single blow, they die instantly. That's a good thing to know as well. So yeah, so either, what was it? We had if they take greater than or equal to half their full hit points in a single blow, that's a major wound, and they must make a con roll. If they take like a maximum, their hit point maximum or greater in a single blow, they die instantly. And you don't like have like hundreds of hit points. It's something like between like 10 and 15 or something. How you work it out, right? Good Society, Call of Cthulhu, definitely want to look that up. Sadly, no. It is Good Time Society by Becca Scott and their friends. They do board games and RPGs and stuff like that. Although Good Society, Call of Cthulhu, like that would be a great hack. I definitely agree with that. There's also No Rolls Bard who started doing some Call of Cthulhu Let's Plays as well, so I'd recommend that. Can I recommend Talison's Critical Role one-shot Call of Cthulhu game as a good one-shot to watch? Yes, I agree. I watched that when it first came out. I really liked that. The thing I have with that is that there's lots of props and stuff like that, which I don't mind. I'm a very good prop person, because when I was trying to learn this game for the first time, I was like, stop messing with the props. What's the mechanics? Because that's a different production stuff. But I actually think that's a really decent story. And I think Taliesin, because that was the first time Taliesin had GM'd for Critical Role as well. And I thought that was a really nice, a different style of GMing. And I felt he did such a good job as well. So yeah, 100% I would recommend that. Check that out as well. And obviously now they've got Candela Obscura, which is a different vibe, but still an investigation game of some sort. Yeah. So. Characters without major wounds naturally heal a hit point per day. Characters with major wounds that's without. Characters with a major wound must make a healing roll equal to or under their con roll at the end of each week. If successful, they regain 1d3 hit points or 2d3 hit points for an extreme success. If a major wound condition is removed, the major wound condition is removed if either an extreme success is rolled or the current hit points is healed to half their maximum value or greater. Thus, it may take several weeks for a major wound to heal. So that's the thing. It's not a simple pop back up and you're fine. A successful first aid can heal 1 hit point, as well as rousing a character from unconsciousness. If first aid is used on a dying character, it extends the character's life so that the medicine skill can be used. The medicine skill can heal 1d3 hit points, but takes at least 1 hour and appropriate equipment and supplies. If medicine is used on a dying character, it allows a healing roll at the end of 1 week. So again, there's a lot of stuff in there, right? And I understand what it's sort of talking about. But if you're only just getting your head around what this means, so like let's check the medicine check. I think that's like 5% on what I remember. Again, check this before. Let's see, medicine, and this is all oh, it's a 1%. Very low indeed. Very, very low. I actually have a I actually have a really good explanation series with examples and such, although I don't think I can link it here. I don't stop thinking on YouTube. Never split. They do animations, what's going on? Oh, I'll tell you what, like I see Nightbot has stopped it. So let me and my music has stopped for some reason. Hang on, I will sort it out in a second. Yeah, I'll put it in from my it's weird. Yeah, I'll put it on from my end. So hopefully, yeah, there you go, it's gone out there, so you can see it then. They do like animations to show what's going on. I love a good animation explanation. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for that, Sherry. I very much appreciate it. Check that out. Right. Whoop. That is that's the scenario. No, don't cheat. Hang on. Let's go past the cool image. Well, we're almost at the end as well. Let me know what you think if you end up watching it. Of course, no, thank you for sharing. Very much appreciate it. This is the whole point of this channel, is just to like learn through the people's work and stuff like that. So very much appreciate it. Right, so we've done the first aid stuff. Fine. More examples there. There's a small box here for weapon damage as well to give you sort of generic sort of like, again, what unarmed strikes do, etc. With that damage bonus comes from your size, I seem to remember as well. Good. Alright, other forms of damage. Often the keeper will be forced to judge the amount of damage caused by some event. Whatever the cause, consider the likely injury and rate it against the left-hand column of the other forms of damage table. Each injury type is for 1 instant or 1 combat round. 1 round of being punched by an attacker, 1 bullet, 1 round of drowning, 1 round of being burnt, etc. The character takes further damage on each successive round if they are exposed to the source of the harm. This would be under here. Yeah. Alright, zoom out. Okay, so we got, yeah. Is it minor, moderate, severe, deadly, terminal? Gosh, splat. I love a good splat damage. That's nice. I like being able to see this as a GM. It's nice to see this in a Quickstart as well. 8 d10s. And also what I do like is that we keep it to like d3s and d6s and d10s. I know there's obviously d8s they use as a sample, but d10s worth of damage. I do quite like that. Obviously that's sort of the main dice we're using. And then we've got the 4 ready-made investigators are designed to be used in the haunting. So this is the scenario in the next bit. So give these to your players and get them to pick whichever one they prefer. Each player can decide the name and gender of their investigator and write these details on the top left box of the character sheet. The 4 characters are a team brought together to solve a case, although it's okay if you have less than 4 players. Every player takes on the role of one of these characters. So we have an example of a wary private detective, an enthusiastic graduate student, an open-minded academic, an author with an interest in the occult. Nice, I like that. 4 fairly different but very, very typical sort of investigators that could be a part of this. I like that. Ooh, that image. Love that. A nice. I admit I quite like having full art pieces, like plate pieces like this. Look at the detail on her dress. Enhance. I, I think that dress is terrifying because it feels like it's not made out of like fabric, but I like that. I love the green outline. Reminds me of those YouTube videos. You know when you see people who do the faces like that, and then that has an outline of them. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I think that's really cool. Love it. And then it goes on to the actual scenario. Like I said, we're not going to look at the quick start scenario per se. I'll quickly talk about my experiences of running it. I think it's very straightforward. It's a haunted house. Again, this is from a previous edition, so they might have changed it in this one. There's got interesting locations, but it feels to me like it's a two-shot because there's lots of stuff happening outside of the house. Like you can go to lots of locations to do your research, which makes sense. Like before you go somewhere, you want to do your research. But then the vast chunk of the scenario talks about the house itself and all these different things. And I enjoyed it as an introductory one. It's creepy. It gives you the vibes of like something's not right here. But again, a lot of stuff sort of refers to stuff, and it's like I think if you wanted to know more, I don't know. It gives the seeds. So if you want to find out more about Cthulhu, here's some seeds to start. So I think it's a good opening one. But there's nothing. I don't think you could easily change like who the big bad is easily and all that sort of thing. So I think it's a good opening introductory scenario for Call of Cthulhu. Like I said, combat, get your diagrams out, etc. But I wanted a quick look and see these character sheets again. So no spoilers. Yeah, and these are the maps that they use here. So again, not too much in terms of like big space. Like there's not like we're going through a dungeon crawl, etc. So you got the ground floor, upper story floor, and then the basement and stuff. So it's quite a small, compact, like final area, so to speak. Right. Let's keep moving on. They do use, I will say, they use these images were in the previous Quickstart as well, which I quite like, sort of the pen drawings and stuff. Here's the example. So that Fount of Madness table that we talked about earlier, it's here in the thing. Again, I don't know if I would want this. Again, there's obviously questions about Bouts of Madness anyway, but I would put this out of the Quickstart rather than putting it in the scenario itself, personally. Just because if I wanted to read about, I don't know, it's just for ease to find, I think. Then we've got conclusion. Then we've got some handouts, so you could photocopy them, hand them out, or again, what I will do, copy and paste them out into your things. Oh, there's an investigator map. Oh, that wasn't there last time. Oh, I like that. Yeah, having a player's map, always quite good. Yeah, I like that. Here we go. I will say these sheets are so much cleaner than the old ones, for sure. Oh, that's good as well. Yeah, so you would fill in. I don't know if you can see at the top here. Yeah, the name, birthplace, and pronouns at the top here. That's really good. And it looks like, just having a quick look, looks fairly gender neutral in those descriptions as well. Amazing. Oh, but I will say, hang on, it says just double checking. Yeah, it's not editable, obviously, because it is a PDF. But it looks like it's not readable either, which is a bit of a shame. But at the same time, like again, I can imagine taking them off, putting these somewhere else as well into one of those form fillable ones. It'll be good because again, these things will change quite a bit as well. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. Ooh, again, not perfect. These images, are they? Yeah. These wording, I don't know if you guys can see it. So it says here like maximum and current. That writing is tiny. That font is teeny tiny. I think you need to put it up at least a couple of points. I know what it means, but just for other people as well. I do like this sort of motif on the. Oh, I can't see it. I've zoomed in. On the side here, I love the motif on the side. Quite like that. And then the Call of Cthulhu sign. So yeah, they've made an effort to change it. I'm gonna see if I can find my version. Oh, and they've got a clear version as well. Nice. They've got the back of the book. Terrifying image. Amazing. Ah, these are just, and then just images at the back of the... Nice, okay. I like the pre-gen characters being more player customizable. Strikes a good balance between typical regens and creating your own. Yeah, I agree that it's just the bare bones or something. What I'm gonna do, I want to show, I'm gonna show the other version of it. I think it's important. This is what, sorry, losing my words. Let me find it. So I'm just quickly, hopefully you can't see my pages. You can't see me logging in. Call of Cthulhu. Call of Overlay. That's not what it's called at all. I want to show the version I've seen. Again, there's no right or wrong, obviously. Yes, here we go. And I just want to see. Maybe I can get. Ooh. I just want to see the character. Okay, I'm gonna go for the 7th. Maybe it'll be different. Or it'll be different now. I'm gonna look at it. Let's see if have I got any character sheets? I appreciate this is super boring for people watching, but as I'm just staring at the screen. Alright, so. Oh no, I don't want it open there, I want it open in here. Alright. So, this is the version Whoa, sorry. So when did this come out? 2013 this comes out. Just enjoying the music. Oh, that's very kind of you. So yeah, you can see how different this PDF is already. So there's no it's very clean. There's no like artwork, like the interior art or anything like that. Like the texture on the page. I think it's slightly clearer. Like it's gonna be the same things as well. Yeah, here it has in the Quickstart how to create a character. So that's what I was expecting before. Like how to create the character. And it goes through here about all the damage stuff like that. So maybe people want to check the 2013 Quickstart instead. Like occupations and stuff, it goes into much more detail here. You see, this is what I was remembering, the old black and white version of the dice. I just feel like this is a lot cleaner, perhaps. But again, it still has the examples as italicized. There's, yeah, random pictures in here. Yeah, I love that. I love that image though. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, so it's redone it a little bit. Yeah, they've got much. Yeah, the artwork here is slightly bigger. And then there's a story at the end. I did forget that. There you go. So this was the character sheet I was talking about. So yeah, so all the stuff. This is what I was talking about the tracker and the sanity and the magic points stuff like that. That's all at the top here, and they've got rid of that now, and they've moved everything down a little bit. I don't know. I kind of like having just very bare basic stuff. I'm gonna switch back to the other one. Like there's more room up here, I guess. Got an image of here. I just feel like I kind of like the tracker stuff. Maybe moving everything up. If you didn't have the tracker, and you just had the hit points, you still got like the temporary insanity and stuff like that. And the look. I think if you just got it to what it does here, underneath everything, you can move all this up. I think it's still readable on this one. And then that quick reference stuff, which is still on the second page. Both of these. I think you can't even read that really. I just go in. That's quite small compared to. I need to say. I don't know. I do think this is kind of important. I think this is more readable actually. So yeah, that's just interesting. It also looks like it's been cut in certain places as well. There you go. I prefer the old character sheet, if I'm honest with you guys. I feel like the new one is a little, I don't know. It doesn't really inspire me at all, which I know is like, ooh, but yeah. The quick reference definitely feels like an afterthought here. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this. It feels. I don't know. Like we've got this motif thing happening here. Not motif. The sort of framing here. I think also, no, they don't. I thought they had a modern one as well, but they don't. Yeah, it just feels a bit plain, doesn't it? The this character sheet, a bit boring. Whereas this one has a little bit of character, and you can still read stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I think I prefer this one, and so I would recommend if people are interested in how to create characters. I'm gonna say what I'll skip over to the actual top bit. Because this is what this old Quickstart absolutely does have, it 2013 one. Check it out. It's not that hard. It's like 7 steps or so, and it goes into much detail. It's like here about the damage bonus depends on your strength and size together and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it feels interesting. But again, let's talk about the one we actually read. Huh? I'll just get back up to here. So, what did we like? What did we not like? First things first. I like the new cover. Again, I'll compare it to this one. Ooh. I like the new cover. I think I do like the layout overall. Like it's nice. Like, there's definitely a feel to it. I do feel that there are the text could have done a bit more formatting in terms of like being accessible and stuff. You know, actually it highlights certain things. I think the introduction's pretty good, but again, it's that sort of thing going, have you played an RPG before? Okay, and then, as we've seen, there's no safety tools in this as well, which, again, you think would be one to include now, nowadays at least. I think the artwork is quite nice, but it feels very small, actually, now that I think about it. Some of the images of the, like, player sheets, as we see here, pixelated, so if you were zooming in a little bit, like, this thing, I couldn't tell you, realistically, I guess, again, different paper, but like, yeah, I can see there's 8 things there, I guess, and I guess points and magic and luck and all that sort of thing. But it'd be nice if it was like slightly bigger, I think. Got examples for stuff, which is always good, but again, they're sort of hidden in here. They're not highlighted any way, really. Stuff like this, like levels of success, I quite like. Again, I'm gonna check in this copy. We have something similar. We do. Sorry, I know I'm. There you go. Here. Again, it just stands out. You go, that's what it is. Right. Here, it's a little bit nicer. It looks nicer. It goes into that sort of formatting a little bit. Yeah. Photo size, penalty dice. So there's certain bits where they've clearly lifted from the old one and they've made it a little bit nicer, which I do like. Yeah. Can't remember what it was about the luck rolls. So there was something else about luck where you could use them to re-roll things. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I do like the luck mechanic, as Nev was saying earlier in the chat, like the idea that if you home rule it so that you can use it to, like, I will spend some luck to get a clue or something from the keeper. I love that idea. Combat, I mean, ultimately with that flow diagram that is in other things, and with some excellent explainer videos that have been shared in chat and I showed at the beginning, you can figure it out, and it is easier. I just feel like it could have been written in a different way or shown in a different way. Because even though, ultimately, combat shouldn't really be a part of this, I don't think. But it's always a part of every RPG. And so, even as Nev said in the chat, even if you stress to your players that you can absolutely run away, they'll never run away. And I think it's made clear that if you engage in a combat, which they should probably do at some point, healing from it is hard and difficult. And, you know, like, it's one of those things, like, diminishing returns. Like, you can learn stuff more and more and experience stuff, but at what was the cost? One thing I'd suggest, from what I was reading, like, we did Trophy Dark, we did Trophy Gold, sorry, but Trophy Dark and the whole Trophy series, they have this sort of idea that you are adventurers going out into these places, but you don't really know what you're facing. And so if you get back to town, you can be like, did anyone else face those crow folks who had, like, claws and hands and, like, 8 innards and stuff like that? And people go, oh yes, that is the crow men. We fended it off with bits of silver, you know. And you can write down and make your own bestiary of, like, what you face and stuff like that, and it's your own thing. So even if your characters die, It's more about the story about you gaining this knowledge as a group. And I think the same thing could happen here. Is that, yeah, you can have, I guess, relationships with other players, but I don't think that's necessarily the point. She says, quotation marks, of Call of Cthulhu is that you go and find these missions, you try and solve them and save people, and you might die. It's more about the story of the order or any society that you're a part of, I think. And it means that, investigators can come and go, etc. I mean, that's one way I would suggest it, right? So as a result, I think you don't know that it is Cthulhu, you know, even though it is called Cthulhu, you don't know the names of any of these creatures and stuff like that. So I think playing it on that, it is just the unknown and some horrible feats. And you can write down, oh, we faced some creature like this, or you've heard stuff like this, and write it down into that narrative. I think just a nicer spin on it. But there you go. That is sort of a general overview. I hope that was okay, folks. Like I said, I was sort of rereading this purely because I'm going to be running the starter set for a friend of mine who's never played it and is really, really keen. She really wants to play something that's not D&D. And so we are actually going to use the starter set, which has 3 scenarios in it. And the first scenario is like a 1-on-1, and then it spreads out to 2 and 3. But even this, I would even say like this initial scenario we might use as well. It's quite straightforward. In like big haunted house, there's a baddie in it somewhere. Where is it? But yeah, I hope that was enjoyable for folks. Thank you for staying with me for 2 hours. Let's go back to Big Fiona. If you have enjoyed this, you can find my other work. Oh well, hang on, as always, here's a link to it if you just joined us. There should be a link to the Quickstart in the show notes as well, and I'll put in the links to the different videos that we sort of discussed, and also I'll put a link into Neb's wonderful explanations as well at the bottom of the video after the stream. Thank you so much for joining us for this sort of a nice little 2 hours sort of checking out. I hope this was interesting. If you want to find out more about what I do, check out What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. Oh, thank you, Neb. It was nice to listen to in the background. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good evening yourself. You can find out... Oh yeah, Nightbot has done it. I was like, what are you doing? So you can go check out What Am I Rolling, which is a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast where we do lots of different RPG systems. We have done Call of Cthulhu. We did Amidst the Ancient Trees, which is a scenario in the Keeper's Rulebook with 2 of my friends, Sam and David. I really like that scenario. I think it's one of my favourite scenarios, and I think it's a really nice one. If you're not so keen on this particular scenario, the haunting one, and you haven't got the starter kit, but you have the Keeper's Rulebook, check out Amidst the Ancient Trees, because I think there's so much improv and so much things you can do with it. Yeah, I really like that one. But also you can listen to the podcast. If you're like, I only want D&D, and I'm like, nah, sure. I also do the DM's Book Club, which is a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. We're releasing our travel book club just now, The Inner Planes. We did another one came out last night, which I've not done any socials for. That's going to be my job this afternoon, is put the socials out for it, where we talk about, we've gone through all the elemental planes of earth, fire, water, and air, and now we're looking at the positive and negative elemental planes, which are very interesting. Again, something we haven't come across really in 5th edition. So if you want to check out some older legacy type D&D, again, your mileage may vary. But yeah, we read the books so you don't have to, so come on, check out the DM's Book Club. Other things I'm just trying to think of. Let's say we do have a Discord. You can come and chat to us about tabletop RPGs. It's a little bit quiet in there just now as I'm slowly getting back into the groove of doing some streams, and hopefully the stream has done all right. Again, I'm kind of using this as a test for like getting back into it, changing a few little bits and pieces, and making sure the internet bloody works. So come join us on the Discord. That's probably where you'll find out when I'm doing more of these streams. At some point I will learn how to put them all on Twitter and all the socials and stuff like that, so people can actually know about it rather than just go, I'm going live in 30 minutes to talk about this. So come check that out if you'd like to. No pressure if not. We will be back tomorrow for another Too Long Didn't Read RPG. We're going to be looking at Starcrossed by Alex Roberts. It's a Bully Pulpit game, which is about a 2-player game about star-crossed lovers, which I'm very excited for. It's a game I've always wanted to play, and I've yet to ever do so. And there is not a second edition, but there's an expansion that has come out recently as well, so maybe we'll have a look at that as well. That's Starcrossed by Bully Pulpit and Alex Roberts. And then next week I do have some others that are lined up. Specifically, the one I'm going to mention, I don't know, ever so often Hatchling Games, aka Rich watches these in the bath. We are doing, she says, trying to find the date. Next Tuesday, we're going to have a look at the Cryptic Creeks Quickstart. Try and say that 3 times fast. Which I'm very excited about. Obviously, very supportive of UK tabletop RPGs, and Cryptic Creeks has just come out with this lovely little quick start. And I know Rich has been looking at these as well. So again, we're going to go through and I'm going to see what we've got in that sort of thing. So I'm very excited about that. So thank you so much. Also, next week we're going to look at Babes in the Wood, which is another tabletop RPG, which has been used for an actual play through our friends Beyond the Brook. It's a limited series, which I caught great glimpses of, and I was like, oh, that looks very interesting. So that'll be next Thursday. And then next Friday, one for you, Kieran, if you're still around, my friend, we're going to look at that preview chapter of Castles in the Air, which is the latest RPG currently on Kickstarter or BattleKit for Storybrewers role-playing games, who are very famous for the Good Societies, the Penned by the Good Society, that sort of thing. So we're going to have a look at that first chapter. So it's not really a quick start or anything like that. It's very hard to do a quick start of those particular games, which you'll see why for. We're going to look at the first chapter, and it's going to describe to us what the main gameplay is and maybe how it's different to Good Society. So there you go. Those are the ones that I've got planned so far. Lovely. Yeah, no, I thought so. I just thought, you know what? I want to actually see what the main differences are, and maybe we can chat about that. But until then, folks, till tomorrow even, have a wonderful time. Very much looking forward to both Cryptic Creeks and Castles in the Air. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Yeah, sod Star-Crossed. Sod the other game I spoke about, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Babes in the Wood, yeah, sod them. Yeah. But yeah, feel free in the Discord, anyone that's watching, if you want to join using that link, to do any suggestions and stuff, because I do have a whole list of RPGs I'd like to get through. And ideally, we try and look at RPGs that have like a free quick start or free preview of some sort. Sometimes I will share a little bit of one that I've actually paid for. Again, no sponsored on here yet, but I always try and link to where I can, and try not to give away the full details of the game. I'm also considering at some point doing some actual plays of some solo RPG games. At some point, again, this is what happens when you move countries, trying to like work out like, what can I do to make money, and maybe do some sponsor stuff as well. So slowly getting back into the general sort of gist of these things and just seeing where we go from here. Because, you know, new country, new me, new lifestyle. Yeah, I think the final thing I'll say, sorry, I'm wittering on quite a bit because I'm just trying to think of things to say before the end. I am very likely I will be going to Gen Con, which is very exciting. So if you want to come to the Discord, or if you want to put comments underneath this video, or even now in chat, even though we're probably going to close off in 2 minutes, if any recommendations for RPGs or RPG stands, go and check out. I would really love to, I would love to know more, because again, this will be my first time at an American con, and I'm just going to be trying to find new RPGs, new publishers that I don't know. I'd like to go into it and, you know, basically be very British about it, and be like, oh gosh, that sounds like a lovely game. Also those two, especially Starcross, as I love duet games, but I can't deny that Castles in the Sky especially overshadows it a bit. That is fair. Do not worry. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for this very, very brief excursion into Academy Stream. We'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, roughly about 5 p.m. BST or 11 a.m. Central, which is where I'm doing it from, and we'll see you back for Starcross. Much love, play lots of games, and I will see you soon. Let's find that end of screen button. Bye!